tonight, Osun citizens turn out in their numbers to cast their ballots as they look to a new leadership that will shape the next 4 years in the state. Attention shifts to INEC office in Osogbo, the Osun State capital, with election officers set to begin declaration of results. Adamawa State Governor Fintiri urges politicians to avoid exploiting religious sentiments to divide the people for political gain ahead of the 2027 elections. And 5 people have been shot, 1 critically injured following a shooting at Virginia State University involving multiple suspects. On sports news tonight, history beckons in Rabat as tournament debutants Malawi take on Cameroon in Sunday's Women's Africa Cup of Nations final, with both nations chasing an elusive maiden title. Beyond the early morning lines and high-stake political rivalries, the Osun State governorship election appears to be fundamentally driven by a surge in voter participation and an unprecedented logistical operation across the state. Voter registration increased to 2,339,233 this year, reflecting an addition of more than 384,000 new voters. About 62% collected their PVCs following the extension of the collection exercise. Over 2 million people registered to vote in the 3,763 polling units across 30 local government areas, with Ede North, Ejigbo, Ife North, Ife East, Ife Lodun, Iwo and Osogbo having some of the highest numbers. A pulsating day indeed for the people of Osun State, who turned out in their numbers to elect their governor for the 4-year term. Election observers described the process as largely impressive, highlighting the early arrival of staff and materials, minimal technical hitches, and strong voter turnout, especially amongst young people. Now, with the polls now closed in most of the 30 local government areas, the waiting game begins. All eyes turn to INEC Collation Center in Osogbo, where election officials are set to begin aggregating the official tallies. Our first report takes a look at the early voting process, sorting and counting across key local government areas.
Early risers set the tone at Unit 7, Okeoja in Osogbo, turning out as early as 7:20 a.m., while INEC officials set up their polling gear. Long lines stretch across the center with a priority lane dedicated to seniors, while voters double-check their names on the registry. By 8:30 a.m. sharp, voting officially kicks off at Salvation Army Middle Primary School in Alekowodo, Osogbo, where the elderly led the charge, casting their ballots first.
Everything is peaceful because we have been expecting it. This election it's for our own good.
It's peaceful, there's no problem. Everybody's going where is supposed to go and vote. I'm here to vote now. And I've seen my name on the list, and I want to go and do my social responsibility by voting.
Election monitors on the ground describe the atmosphere as calm, voicing hope that a peaceful order holds throughout the day.
It's about seeing the power of the thumb and how it determines who will govern the state for another 4 years. And
Absolutely.
that's a festival for me. You can see that voting has started, and people are on the queue, and it's just, for now, going on very seamless.
You check your name, and then you come with your card, PVC, and when you come with your card, PVC, you give it to the presiding officer or the election official who look at it and then check now if the information on that PVC is also on the BVAS.
We have gone to at least 10 polling units. The process is going on well. There's a lot of enthusiasm among the voters, and they're ready and willing to exercise their democratic franchise. So I think that if this momentum is sustained, there won't be any problem in the electoral process.
Over at polling unit 013 in Ijibo local government area, tension bubbles up. Party agents demand a physical count of all ballot papers before casting starts, but electoral officials push back, warning that the standoff will derail the schedule. Elsewhere in Ijibo local government area, some voters raised concerns over an alleged vote-buying operation by a political party in the area. They claim to have alerted security operatives, but allege that the officers have been reluctant to investigate the matter.
Before the election, you know that they arrested some people who were in police uniform that were not police themselves. And so, but we are asking the DIG election and the and the CP election, all of them to check Modakoke immediately, because if that thing is real, then it's going to, we don't know what is happening. But the commitment we got from the police, is that they are going to do the best that they can, to make sure that they are upright for Nigeria and for the election.
We have 2 seasoned police officers in Ede. In short, Raymond is the CP INEC in Abuja. He is the CP INEC in Abuja. That is why we sent him to Ede, because Ede is one of the volatile areas. Can that kind of person work in with INEC compromise? Can he? And you know what we are doing.
Give us an understanding about the issue of vote buying. And we are hearing, we're seeing this happening. Can you give, what are you doing to ensure?
Have you recorded anyone?
Yes, and we have captured here, somewhere in Ijibo.
The polling booth?
Yes, and money was seen.
I will confirm from the CP Ijibo. Confirm who is the CP Ijibo for me.
As the day progresses, voting comes to an end across all 30 local government areas, shifting the focus from the ballot box to the sorting, counting, and collation of results. With more than 2 million voters registered, Osun State stands at a critical juncture as citizens decide who earns the keys to Government House, and this will be known in a matter of hours.
From local community polling units to high-stake districts, key candidates across party lines stood alongside fellow citizens to exercise their franchise today. We'll bring you moments from the ballots and hear directly from some of the contenders as they evaluate how the day unfolded.
Accompanied by his wife, Governor Ademola Adeleke arrives at polling unit 009, Ward 2, Abogude Sagba in Ede North to perform his civic duty. His voting process hits a temporary snag following a technical glitch with the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS. The issue is eventually resolved, allowing him to then cast his ballot.
Authority information that there is one police officer that they brought to come and do an active job, the APC Osun, from Port Harcourt. They call his nickname London. He's here in Ede hiding. His own job is to come and destroy Ede and then avoid so that he can scare people, shooting so that they will not vote. So I'm calling the Inspector General of Police to take note. I'm calling all the security agencies to take note. They should redeploy him. We don't want him in Osun. We don't want violence in Osun. All we want is free and fair election so that people can perform their civic duty. That's one. And two, the pattern of voting should be from unit to ward and to local government.
Much like the incumbent, the governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Mr. Bola Oyebamiji, arrives at his polling unit alongside his spouse, Sekinat. Speaking shortly after voting, Mr. Oyebamiji expresses confidence in the process, praising INEC and security agencies for maintaining order.
I've just voted and I can see that people troop out en masse here. And every process is going peacefully. The INEC are here, the voters are here, and the police are here, the security operatives are here. And so far, my assessment is that everything is going peacefully here.
Also performing his civic duty is the flag bearer of the African Democratic Congress, Mr. Najim Salam. While casting his vote, he raises concerns over the alleged ADC party agents from gaining accreditation across several polling units.
The report of my agent being recognized in most of the wards across the state is worrisome and disturbing. All the agents in Ward 5 for ADC, they were not given tag. And it happened in 10 local governments across the state like this. So this process, I've reported to the authority and they are looking into it because when they are counting the votes, it will be necessary for my agent to be recognized at the polling units.
No fewer than 13 candidates are vying for the state's top seat in an election with over 2 million. We sincerely apologize for that hit. Well, demands for transparency are taking center stage with Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Wahab Shitu, urging all key players to safeguard the integrity of the vote. He emphasized that the final results declared must be the exact reflection of choices recorded at the polling units.
The credibility of this poll will be determined or measured not just by the absence of violence, but whether the result that will eventually be announced at Osogbo will reflect what was recorded at the polling unit. In other words, Nigerians look forward to Osun State to, show to the rest of the world that the votes of every Osun voter will count. Devoid of intimidation, devoid of violence, and that whoever emerges from this process will truly reflect the will of the Osun people. The entire world is watching. So all the stakeholders involved in this process must be conscious of the verdict of history. if you're a Democrat, then you must not deploy violence or kill anyone because you want to access political power. So in other words, in Osun, what we are looking for at the end of the day is a reflection of genuine democracy. We don't want kill and go democracy. We don't want over-militarization of the process in such a way that a lot of people will be disenfranchised from exercising their civil rights.
In part two, after the break, more on the Osun governorship elections. Plus, Adamawa State Governor Fintiri urges politicians to avoid exploiting religious sentiments to divide the people for political gain. That's in a moment. Join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, broadcasting live from Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Osun people turn out in their numbers to cast their ballots as they look to a new leadership that will shape the next 4 years in the state. Attention shift to INEC office in Osogbo, the Osun state capital, with election officers set to begin declaration of results. Adamawa State Governor Fintiri urges politicians to avoid exploiting religious sentiments to divide the people for political gain. And 5 people have been shot, 1 critically injured following a shooting at Virginia State University involving multiple suspects. Highlighting a major bright spot in today's poll, Yaga Africa's Executive Director, Mr. Samson Itodo, commended young voters for stepping up to the plate and showing up in force. He noted that their energetic participation sends a powerful message that Nigerian youths are taking ownership of the electoral process.
And I must say that 90% of people I've seen on this queue are young people. Just a few elderly people who could pass for millennials. And so it is really encouraging to see this turnout of young people, at least for this particular polling unit. I think what we need to do is when you inspire trust and confidence on the part of citizens, you would see citizens show up at elections, because the data tells us that Nigerians love democracy. Their only challenge is the actors who are driving democracy are not driving democracy in the way that it delivers to its promise to the people. But the good thing for this election is that in 78% of polling units, INEC officials arrived and voting commenced early. And so voters who are at home, in case anyone is telling you to stay back, please know that people are at the polling unit, INEC is at the polling unit, election is taking place despite all the intimidation. And our expectation is that it will stay that way until the very end.
Meanwhile, a lawyer, Mr. Adelogun, has linked the prevalence of vote buying during elections to the worsening economic conditions in the country. He argued that where government has failed to significantly improve employment, wealth and living conditions, the permanent voter card becomes a means of securing immediate benefits during elections rather than an instrument for choosing political leaders.
In those circumstances where there's mass hunger and unemployment, you've made that voter vulnerable to persuasion with a loaf of bread or a meal even on the day of the elections. Because put yourself in their position. They say, what else will I get from this process? If the governance is not lifting the level of employment, is not lifting the level of wealth and comforts in the country, and is not depressing the level of poverty. Those who are trapped by the governance systems in those conditions you cannot blame them for cashing in their voucher, because the ballot sheet, the PVC, becomes a meal voucher to trade in. They only have that opportunity once in every 4 years. So they will be the ones who will roll up most enthusiastically. Because, as I said, the system, the governance level in the country has left them below the line. When you're below the line, I can't blame them for saying, okay, give me that PVC. I will show up on that day. If there's only that one meal that I'm going to enjoy, I will enjoy it. And damn the consequences.
Staying with the Osun election, security analyst and managing director of Beacon Security and Intelligence Limited, Mr. Kabir Adamu, warns that political violence may leave Osun State deeply divided after the governorship election. Speaking on the sidelines of an annual lecture on election integrity and security in Lagos, Mr. Adamu says reported deaths linked to political competition ahead of the poll are a major concern, urging politicians to respect the rules and prioritize peace over violence.
A lot has happened in Osun State, and I think one of the prominent factors that came out is the violence because of the political competition in the state. There is no need. At the end of the day, one leader will emerge, but what happens if citizens are killed in the manner that we saw in Osun State? Our own database at Beacon Security and Intelligence and Innovations Limited documented about 36 confirmed deaths, even though there are about 4 or 5 others that we couldn't confirm. And that is before the elections. We don't yet know what will happen during and then post the elections. So a lot our politicians need to learn to play by the book and respect and have tolerance for each other. That it is pointless when you deploy violence and your citizens are killed. At the end of the day, you are ruling over a divided state. The truth of it is, whoever emerges as the victor in the Osun election, it would take him nothing less than 2 years to stabilize the state because of the level of division and violence that has occurred in the state. So that's a lot that like our politicians should learn. Instead of wasting those 2 years stabilizing the state, they can jump into governance and provide the dividends of democracy for their people. So respect the rules, play by the book, and ensure that you don't engage in any act of violence during or post the election.
Away from the Osun election, but staying with politics, months after Governor Basio II secured his party's endorsement for a second term, his administration has received a fresh boost in grassroots support, with a growing coalition of bloggers, influencers, young people and community stakeholders rallying behind the Otu Ode ticket in Calabar. The organizers described the mobilization as a reflection of the growing confidence in the administration, saying their support is driven by visible development, improved governance and initiatives impacting the people of Cross River State.
With the nation gradually moving into another political season, President of the National Association of Bloggers, Prince Imonike, alongside other celebrities, are organizing what they call the 1 Million Man March for the Otu Ode governorship ticket ahead of the general elections in 2027. The event attracts a large crowd who wave placards and chant solidarity songs as they march through Calabar, the state capital, in a show of support for the administration. The organizers say the Otu Ode campaign is building an increasingly broader grassroots coalition, expressing confidence that the growing support will translate into stronger mobilization for the incumbent governor and his running mate. The group says it chose to visit the state and assess projects for itself, rather than rely on government publicity or political narratives.
I'm so amazed at what the government do. I said, oh, I need to encourage you to send a signal to other governors who is not doing well because so that this kind of thing will happen in their state.
Joining the mobilization is reality TV star Fina,
who says her first visit to Cross River State gives her a fresh perspective about the governor's development agenda, citing the roads and street lighting as notable projects.
I would say the people of Cross River State should be very vocal about any governor they have that is really working. Because when you're very vocal about how people work for you, it encourages them to do more. So they should be very vocal about it.
Other participants applaud Governor Otu's continuity agenda.
I don't like to go to school. Which round go to school? But if you don't like it, tell your mommy you want to learn handball. Something good is very important.
The Deputy Governor, Peter Ode, describes the massive mobilization as significant and a major boost to the Otu-Ode re-election bid.
From day one, when we are doing office, we are being about the people of the state. This was not arranged by the government, it was arranged by you, because we have seen what His Excellency Senate of the last year and the school is doing. And let me assure you, and Considerian, that he is really going to do more.
With the election just months away, the organizers pledge to use their platforms to promote accountability, responsible public discourse, and citizen engagement.
Ahead of the 2027 general elections, Adamawa State Governor Fintiri is warning politicians against exploring religious sentiments to divide the people and gain political advantage. The governor gave the warning when he received members of the state chapter of the Nigeria Inter-Religious Council at the Government House, Yola.
Members of the Adamawa State Chapter of the Nigeria Inter-Religious Council are paying Governor Fintiri a courtesy visit as part of efforts to strengthen the relations among the religious groups in the state. The council calls for dialogue and religious tolerance in view of religious rhetoric that's trailing the 2027 general elections. The council also plans to strengthen its message of peace, tolerance, and religious harmony to the grassroots.
Where there is no mutual adversarial, where peaceful monotheism is also safe. This will make society a high scores where the person will do some leaders. As always, one should create and tell us that every age leader is here and of us that I would like to do the investors teams to show our concern, making this the research trainings by some occasion for one who moves religion to achieve their own things of leads and ends. This is very important. Is that the social here? I read so many messages, try to advise people among the West lines.
In his response, Governor Fintiri criticized individuals who hide behind religion to pursue their political ambitions.
There are a lot of people who are just looking for power. They don't even know what they are coming to do. They don't even know how to pull the chains. Definitely, we'll experience some statements from such people, but we will not wave them by the side. We're going to take it serious. But again, we shouldn't, their number is so negligible that they cannot change our ways.
The governor also warns that his administration will not tolerate any attempt aimed at disrupting the peace of the state.
The security matters now. The Joint Task Force Northeast, Operation Hadinkai, has recorded another decisive operational success as troops of 162 Amphibious Battalion defeated attempted ISWAP terrorist attacks on their location at Forward Operating Base in Biu local government area of Borno State. A statement signed by the Acting Military Information Officers Headquarters Joint Task Force Operation Hadinkai, Captain Mohammed Goni, says at about 2 a.m., the terrorists launched a simultaneous assault on the location from 2 fronts. It adds that the coordinated and aggressive response forced the insurgents to withdraw in confusion, after which troops immediately launched a hot pursuit and recovered a substantial amount of ammunition. Still ahead on the news at 10, global commodities close trading week in the green as Brent and gold notch gains on interest rate optimism. That's in a moment. Join us again.
Come where culture flows. Stories live. And the rivers remind us we are one. Beni River Life.
Success.
Welcome back. The newly established 10th Division of the Nigerian Army has commenced operations in Jalingo, the Taraba state capital. Major General Chinedu Nabife assumes duty as the pioneer general officer commanding of the division, established as part of efforts to expand the operational capacity of the Nigerian Army and strengthen the fight against insecurity in Taraba and Adamawa states.
The Pioneer General Officer Commanding 10th Division, Jalingo, Major General Chinedu Nebife, arrives at the Taraba State Government House ahead of assumption of office. He is received by the Secretary to the Taraba State Government, Mr. Gebon Katabs, in his office. Accompanied by other state officials, Mr. Katabs leads the army leadership to inspect the recently acquired Muhammadu Buhari housing estate and the Federal Road Maintenance Agency office, which will serve as temporary shelter for the division, pending the completion of the permanent site.
We've noticed illegal constructions going on within the Buhari estate. Those people within Buhari estate are hereby put on notice that the entire Buhari estate in Jalingo is a property of the Taraba State Government and has been formally handed over to the 10th Div. So in their best interest, they won't be given further notice. They are hereby put on notice to vacate that premises immediately.
The new division will occupy the 6th Brigade headquarters in the state capital, which is undergoing upgrade, while Wukari will serve as the host for the new 6th Brigade under the division. The military is assuring residents of sustained onslaught against insecurity.
They were taking off the place immediately, and the officers have been posted, the soldiers have been assigned to be here, and I can assure you from next week, you will see a lot of movement of our personnel into Jalingo. I want to assure the indigents of Taraba and indeed Adama, which I will be covering, that they will have enough sleep now. Nobody will be sleeping and waking up. There will be challenges, but I can assure you we'll overcome them.
Meanwhile, the state government is assuring the Nigerian Army of its continued support and cooperation towards ensuring the safety of lives and property.
Your efforts are commendable. We will continue to appreciate you. I want to assure you that the government of His Excellency Governor Abu Kefas will always stand by you and provide all those necessary logistics that you will need to enable you operate and carry out your duties successfully.
The new division is created against the backdrop of rising insecurity in the country, and it is expected to decentralize the Army's command and control structure, improve tactical response time, and enable troops to respond more effectively to security threats.
Katsina State is recording significant improvement in the fight against terrorism following increased collaboration with security operatives and community-based security structures. The Deputy Governor of the state, Mr. Farouk Jobe, made this known at the opening of the second quarter 2026 Northwest Zonal Conference of State Directors of Security, organized by the Department of State Services. Mr. Jobe says the strategy combines kinetic and non-kinetic methods.
Thank you most sincerely on behalf of the Governor and the good people of Katsina State for working together to achieve this one. Some of you that know where we are coming from, particularly the Director of Security Service, Kano State, who was here as the Assistant Director of Operations, testified in the fact that we have succeeded tremendously in achieving security and improving our situation in Katsina. When we came on board, we have about 26 local governments that were consistently under attack. The situation was worrisome, with reported killings, kidnapping, ransom, and other associated crimes. But today, the situation has improved tremendously because of our approach, the approach of the conventional security forces. What we did in Katsina is a combination of the two approaches, kinetic and non-kinetic approach. The security knows what we have done in terms of support and collaboration. That's why this is returning gradually. For the non-kinetic approach, we deliberately supported all the victims of banditry in Katsina, where free medical health care services were provided at no cost to all the injured and others who have suffered from the violence. On the same day, we have addressed issues that have to do with the economy. Because the quickest way to transform the economy is our approach to agriculture. We realize the need to support our people and understand that our major preoccupation in this part of the country is agriculture. We have done a lot in terms of mechanization, extension services, and provision of seeds, fruit seeds, and fertilizer. We have
As part of efforts to give girls another opportunity to learn, dream, and build a better future, the federal government has commissioned the first rehabilitated alternative high school for girls in Agboju, Lagos. At the commissioning ceremony, the Executive Secretary of the Universal Basic Education Commission, Aisha Gaba, says the alternative high school for girls exists for young women whose education may have been interrupted for one reason or another, as it gives them an opportunity to return to learning, acquire useful skills, and find a new pathway towards a productive and fulfilling life. She explains that a young mother seeking to return to school should not be told that her time has passed, just as a girl whose education was interrupted deserves a second chance, noting that every child needs an alternative pathway to get the education required to succeed in life. The Plateau State government says it is implementing a range of interventions to contain the cholera outbreak as the number of suspected cases rises to 537. The Commissioner for Health, Dr. Nicholas Bamlong, disclosed this while briefing journalists in Jos on the latest situation of the outbreak. He says 517 patients had been successfully treated and discharged, while 3 others were currently receiving treatment in health facilities. He added that the state had recorded 17 deaths since the outbreak began, including 3 additional deaths since the last update. The commissioner added that the government was also working with relevant ministries and development partners, especially the Ministry of Environment, to address the sanitation and environmental conditions that contribute to the spread of the disease. He called on anyone experiencing symptoms such as frequent diarrhea, vomiting, to seek medical attention quickly, stressing that early presentation will improve the chances of effective treatment and recovery. Global commodities ended the week higher, with both oil and gold posting weekly gains as geopolitical tensions and shifting expectations for U.S. monetary policy shaped trading. Brent crude gained nearly 6% for the week, while the WTI advanced more than 5% as uncertainty over the Strait of Hormuz raised concerns about global oil supplies. Gold also gained about 0.7%, supported by weaker U.S. inflation and retail sales data, which reduced expectations of an immediate Federal Reserve rate hike. But rising oil prices and renewed inflation concerns capped gold's rally. Directors and federal commissioners of the Revenue, Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, led by the chairman, are meeting with journalists in Lagos to discuss the structural repositioning of the commission to better serve its purpose through the launch of strategic communications and institutional reform initiatives. According to the chairman, the reform is to ensure that every naira due to the federation is properly monitored, fairly allocated and transparently accounted for.
Our strategy is built on 5 core pillars. Institutional clarity. We'll clearly articulate who we are, what we do, and what we are not. We are in the process of showing more transparency through technology. We are modernizing our digital platforms. This will introduce accessible revenue allocation dashboards and strengthen data accessibility so that Nigeria can understand how resources are distributed. And the RAMFAC will play a visible role in shaping national conversations around revenue, diversification, allocation, reform, and remuneration governance. Reform begins within. Our commissioners and staff will operate under a unified messaging standards, strengthened operational discipline, and enhanced performance transparency, safeguarding neutrality.
Nigeria's Securities and Exchange Commission is tightening its anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing controls, ordering capital market operators to cut financial ties with North Korea and restrict transactions involving Iranian financial institutions. The directive requires firms to terminate correspondent banking relationships linked to North Korean institutions and refuse transactions involving Iranian banks. The SEC has also ordered enhanced due diligence on businesses linked to jurisdictions under increased FATF monitoring, with non-compliance potentially attracting fines, suspension or revocation of operating licenses. The federal government is set to unveil 10,000 buses, taxis and tricycles to be deployed across the 6 states of the northeastern region. Now, the Minister of Regional Development, Mr. Abubakar Momo, made this known in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, while inspecting road projects, e-vehicles, mini-assembly plants, and a new office complex at the Northeast Development Commission.
The Minister of Regional Development is accompanied by the management of the Northeast Development Commission and officials of the Borno State Government for the inspection of the Jerry Bowl Road Network, connecting communities in Mafa local government area of the state. The roads are aimed at improving the transportation of farm produce, protect environment, and boost the economic activities of rice farming communities. The The delegation also inspected the electric vehicle assembly plant located at the University of Maiduguri. The plant, which is expected to generate jobs for the youths in the state, is designed to support local technical capacity and strengthen emerging electric mobility.
It is appropriate for us to see what is on ground, that Mr. President could be invited to commission. But to the extent that we have seen today, I can say that I'm very much impressed because nearly all the 10,000 e-vehicles, Transaco are on ground. They are already assembling them. Greater majority of those that are going to be utilized here in Maiduguri have been assembled. We have also seen a number of e-taxis and buses, and they are there in the Maiduguri University.
The delegation also inspected the new office complex of the Northeast Development Commission, the e-recharging center, among other projects. These are projects initiated by the Regional Development Commission as part of the recovery of the Northeast region.
Today, the basement is completed, the ramp foundation, and one section of the building is already going up. We can see that the first floor has been taken. And good thing, he has been able to segment the construction so that in a very short time, by the time this one goes up, you take the other section and the building will complete in a very short time. And he has also assured us that plus or minus, with adequate flow of funds, that in the next 18 to 24 months, this project will see the light of the day. And to that very extent, I've also called the MD, at least as somebody who started this project, he has to be up and do it to ensure that himself is able to use this office before at least his tenure of office expire.
According to the minister, the projects will be commissioned by the president later this year.
Let's head to Gombe State, where Islamic teachers have commended Governor Inuwa Yahaya for setting up the Almajiri Commission and introducing modern schools designed to combine Islamic learning with Western education, numeracy, and skill acquisition. The teachers also declared support for the All Progressives Congress governorship candidate, saying his election will help sustain the governor's reforms in Islamic education and further reduce the number of out-of-school children.
It was a large gathering of Tangaya teachers and Islamic scholars representing the 240 wards of Gombe State at the Federal College of Education Technical Gombe. The conference is convened to appreciate Governor Inuwa Yahaya's intervention in Tangaya education and to discuss strategies for sustaining the reforms beyond 2027. The scholars praised the governor's introduction of modern Tangaya infrastructure across the state, saying the facilities provide a blend of Islamic scholarship, Western literacy and numeracy, as well as vocational and life skill training. There were Quranic recitations during the session. The teachers declared their support for the governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Mr. Jamilu Gwamna. The Chief of Staff to Governor Inuwa Yahaya, Mr. Inuwa Kari, says the governor's succession plan is designed to ensure continuity, responsive governance, and sustainability of ongoing development programs.
What you are seeing today is a clear manifestation of the appreciation of the people of Gombe, particularly this segment of our community, the Alarammas and the Almajiri school operators, appreciating what His Excellency the Governor has done.
The endorsement is considered as a commitment to preserving the gains recorded in Islamic education in the states.
We started in 2019 to reduce the number of out-of-school children, and from 2019 to 2023, we were able to take around 350,000. Then within these 3 years, both in those in non-formal sector and those that we improved their literacy. So we have even more than that, but the statistics we have, that's all we have, in our data.
The Tangaya community believes the reforms of the administration should be consolidated to ensure that more children have access to education, skills, and a better future.
suffered more penalty shootout heartache in the Women's Africa Cup of Nations, losing 3-2 to Algeria after a 1-1 draw in the third-place playoff. The WAFCON hosts were eliminated in the semi-finals on Wednesday after losing a shootout to Cameroon after having 3 consecutive kicks saved. Against Algeria in Rabat, there was a repeat as Morocco converted their first 2 penalties, then missed the following 3. Algeria failed to score from 2 of 4 penalties, then Ines Bellumo netted to give Algeria bronze. For the first time in the history of the Women's Africa Cup of Nations, a new champion will be crowned in Morocco when the Scorchers of Malawi face the indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon in the final. Malawi have scored 12 goals in the tournament and conceded 8, while Cameroon, in their 4th final, netted 5, conceding 3. Our correspondent is there, Cecilia Omorige, and has this report.
The 2 teams that defeated the Super Falcons of Nigeria, Malawi and Cameroon will be in action in the final of the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations. Now for Cameroon, it is a familiar territory, but for Malawi, this is the first time they're making a debut and also reaching the final. What a fairy tale run. A team that was known as the underdogs coming into this tournament and no longer the underdogs.
We are no longer underdogs. So we are in the finals and we are ready to meet Cameroon. As much as we respect Cameroon, it's a big team as well, but this is now finals. We are also a big team.
Did you see Cameroon and Malawi playing in the final of the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations?
I know everybody is surprised, but for us Cameroonians, we knew since day one, we knew our Lionesses will do that, and tomorrow they will make history. This is our cup. We are bringing back tomorrow to Yaoundé. We knew since day one. So it's not a surprise for us. Allez les Lions, allez les Lions. You see our Mikaeli, Spider-Man. It's for us. This year is our year. Nobody, Malawi can go home. They will come in 2 years. Today is for Cameroon.
So who will you be rooting for? So who do you think is going to win this trophy?
Well, I want to wear a hat of Kosafa because I'm from the southern region, but also I want to wear a hat of an African football journalist. To be honest, Cameroon took it with an opportunity that, yes, they didn't qualify, but when they came here, they were fearless. They beat the 2 finalists from last year, Nigeria and Morocco, and deservedly in the finals. Malawi have been rewriting history after history from the first game when they beat Nigeria all the way until their last game against Algeria. So it's evenly poised, and I think that may the best team win, but obviously the beauty of the game is that whoever wins, they'll add to the 3 nations that have already won.
Honestly, I never saw that coming, honestly, but we've seen what they've shown us on the field. They deserve to be in the final. Cameroon having reached in the final before couples of time, losing the final. I guess they're looking forward now to write a statement to end the curse, maybe to have a hand on the WAFCON trophy as well. For Malawi, they're playing under no pressure. They're looking forward to enjoy the game tomorrow. They've already written history. They've already shown the world who are the sleeping giants. So it will be a tense match for Cameroon. But I'm looking forward to see Cameroon finishing the game first half, because if they're waiting for extra time against your Winger sisters, they're looking forward as well to make history for the nation. So tomorrow will be a tense match. I can't wait to see the game ending at 90 because I don't want to see penalties.
On Sunday night, the battle will happen here at the Mole Hassan Stadium in Rabat. Cecilia Mogbe for Channels Television.
Nigeria's Junior D Tigress have booked their spot at the 2027 FIBA Under-19 Women's Basketball World Cup after a half-court 53-50 win over host Côte d'Ivoire in the semi-final at the 2026 FIBA Under-18 Women's AfroBasket in Abidjan. The victory also sent Nigeria into the AfroBasket final for the second straight edition, while ending the host's impressive run in front of the home crowd. Nigeria will now face defending champions Mali in Sunday's final, setting up a repeat of the 2024 final in Pretoria. On the international scene, 5 people have been injured, 1 in critical condition following a shooting at the Virginia State University. Police say 4 others suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Authorities are searching for multiple suspects. Investigators believe more than one shooter was involved, but no arrests have been made. Chesterfield County Police are leading the investigation, backed by campus officials and local agencies. While the campus lockdown has officially been lifted, a heavy law enforcement presence remains at the scene. At least 47 people have been killed and several others injured after a magnitude 7.7 earthquake struck Indonesia early today. Hundreds of buildings in the region were damaged by the quake and dozens of the aftershock that followed. Residents have been advised to remain calm and stay away from coastal areas and structures showing signs of damage. The nation's disaster mitigation agency warns that the death toll is expected to rise as search and rescue operations get underway. And the main news again. Osun people turned out in their numbers today to cast their ballot for a new leadership that will shape 4 years in the state. Attention has shifted to INEC office in Osogbo, the Osun State capital, with election officers set to begin declaration of results. Adamawa State Governor Fintiri has urged politicians to avoid exploitation of religious sentiments to divide the people for political gains ahead of the 2027 elections. And 5 people have been shot, 1 in critical condition following a shooting at Virginia State University involving multiple suspects. That's the news at 10 tonight. I'm Melinda Kinlami. On behalf of the team, good night.